there is a code, and you have to sign on Google Classroom in order to enter Google Classroom. Okay? I'm talking to the students that came here before, asking me if they could take this course. Did you understand that? You have to sign on Google Classroom, and there's a code, a course code. I think if you check on the PDF that Professor Cottoni sent you, you find the code of the class. Otherwise, I can give it to you. Yeah? I don't know either. Ask to your colleagues, but I think you have to in InfoStud probably. I have no idea about that. I'm sorry. Ask to your colleagues. They are all signed in Google Classroom already. Okay. Welcome to the section of the course that is focused on photography, as we said the other time. Sorry? I recall again a few things that we already said the first lesson with Professor Cottoni. So we have a Google Classroom, which is a device that we use in order to communicate with you. And of course, you can communicate with us, so it's very important. But it's not just a device for communication. We use it also for the lecture notes and all the material that you have to study for the exam. Okay? So there you find everything that we talked about during the course, during the lessons, maybe also, website links and PDF about documents, I mean, everything, okay? So it's a very important tool, and please check it, okay? About the exam, I know this is a very important issue. Okay, I repeat that you have to study this book for my part of the exam. As you already understood, I think in this course, you have 3 sections. One is with Professor Cottoni. One is the oral part of the exam, okay, which is more theoretical and historical, and is based mostly on this book. Joel Anderson, Theater and Photography. I already showed it to you, okay? It's not an expensive book. It's not a huge book, and I suggest you to buy it and to study it. We will talk, of course, about this book during the course, okay? The course is divided in 3 sections, as we already said. Professor Cottoni, the oral exam, and in order to take the oral exam, you have to sign to register in InfoStud. You know that? It's for each courses is the same. And we have also a photo project, and we already started to talk about it. I already introduced it last time. And you have to present a photo project, okay? So I introduce you today Professor Francesca Pompei, who is a professional photographer, and we are going to take the course together. And okay, I leave you the floor if you want to say something.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Okay. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Can you hear me all? Okay. And also, the students, the online students. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. My name is Francesca Pompei. I'm a professional photographer focused on arts and architecture images. You can have a look at my work on my personal website or searching for me on Google, or also on my social accounts like Instagram, fpompei_architecture_photos. A bit complicated, but not so much. I generally collaborate with many different architecture studios like Emre Harolat Architecture Studios in Istanbul, Herzog and de Meuron in Basel, the international artist Olafur Eliasson, and so on. If you want, we can take a look also at some of my architecture reports connected to the topics of the theater. That is the main subject of this course, as you know. Yeah, if you want to I can check. And basically, what we are going to learn together, we are going to learn the basics to create a good picture with every sort of device that you may have, from a professional camera to a mobile, from a point and shoot instrument to the most professional devices or drone that you could have. Why? Because some procedures are always the same, aesthetically, visually, and technically speaking. Then, that said, step by step, we'll move on to arrange all your work in an immersive and impressive storytelling, able to address your audience in a coherent way and to deliver your message that you want to transmit with your pictures. So, the focal point is the storytelling of your project. A storytelling with a good, consistent, and strong statement and detailed captions. So, since now everything is clear, feel free to interrupt if it's something that I say is not clear enough, okay? I would like also that you are coming to develop your personal approach to photography, because it's on your personal background, your culture, your taste. It's something that could be useful also as an opportunity to discover or rediscover something, because you can use photography also like a tool of research, like a tool to discover something new, because something that you have never seen, probably because you think that you already know it, or you've never taken the time to look at it. So nowadays, most of the images look the same. If you scroll on internet, if you scroll on social accounts, if you TikTok, Instagram, they lack the style. Most part of them. Why? On your opinion, have you ever asked about it? Some opinion? Don't be shy, don't be frightened, guys. It's not, maybe sometimes it's due to the quickness or it's due to the rise of followers. But we should learn how to develop your taste and how you could tell your personal story, like a real story. For example, to tell your work, to address your viewers in first or third person, like a book, like a real novel, it's not exactly the same. You can tell your work, you can arrange your work, your pictures, your photos, telling yourself in first person, telling about your inner world, your identity, your unconscious, your fears, your feelings, your emotion, But at the same time, you can also make a different choice because you have a whole bunch of options in your hands when you are going to take a picture. You can, for example, choose to discover something new. Basically, to use photography as an opportunity of research, like in photojournalism. But what we are going to learn are the basics and in terms of composition, aesthetics, and techniques, but also how to arrange a real work, like as if you were talking to an editor for a commercial purpose, like in the real world. I mean, because you are here to learn something that is practical, not only theoretical, but also in a practical way. So don't be shy, because photography is a very nice tool for yourself to address all the world around you, entangle all that concern to you. First of all, we would like to take a look at my personal website just to have an idea of my personal style. That is something that I'm still developing, because you are always working on something.
Meantime, I forgot to tell you that a few students of last academic year, are now coming. I think at 4 o'clock, more or less, and they will introduce you their photo project of last year. Okay, so they will introduce their work, and some of them are not here because they were Erasmus students. So we will show it to you without them. Okay, so you have an idea. Okay, sorry.
Okay, obviously, what we are learning is always connected to the main topic of theater. That is the subject of the course, theater and performance and performing arts. So this is my personal website. Below you can find all my social accounts where you can contact me or connect. Then you have my press pages, which you can find all my personal notes and articles and stuff like that. Studios which I collaborate, Vogue, that is a magazine which I regularly collaborate. I'm a contributor, I'm a photo Vogue contributor. And just to take a look at my work, what galleries do you want to see? Choose. Arts, okay. And now what gallery do you want to choose? I haven't heard you. Sculptures, okay. We live in Rome, where we have a very big artistic and cultural heritage. And I am very fond of arts. I'm a minimal and strict attitude, generally speaking. I like to play with shadows, vibrating points of light, shimmering hues, pastel tones, and generally very essential and very basic composition. That is not so easy like it seems. Okay. Another gallery that you want to see, looking back at the page of the work.
Maybe the theater buildings.
Yeah, theater buildings.
Which could be, as we already said, a topic for you too. Theater buildings, okay? Theater
Okay.
venues.
This is the Stat Casino. First of all, have you passions for architecture, I suppose, so? Are you interested in design and architecture? Do you know Herzog and de Meuron architects? Okay. I realized for them this report that has been awarded the Architecture Master Prize 2023, 2022, sorry. And I realized this report's for them because this is the National Theatre of Basel in Switzerland. I'm fond of cinema too, of movies. And after having taken this report, I think that something is reminiscence of David Lynch movies, and especially some of the first pictures with the red tones. That is not so easy to photograph in the best way.
So you see, sorry to interrupt, you are inside of the venue, okay? This is, could be a very good topic for you. Some of the other students of the other year took this kind of topic. The building, for instance, just an idea, the auditorium in Rome, for instance. So this could be a very good reference for you.
Yeah, because you can work for your personal project. First of all, you can decide to talk about something that you feel very close to you, that you know very well. Because it's easy to transmit something when you feel in the art, okay? But on the opposite, you can also choose a completely different new topic. In this case, could be a location, a theater location, for example. But you can personally decide to develop your personal project in many different ways, okay? So this is my personal approach because I'm fond of architecture. But you're not obliged to work specifically on a location outside or outside. You can work also on the other project, performance, your identity. Some of the students of the last year have worked in their personal way with a personal project coming from their interiors. Probably there will be a student later that will show you his project. That will talking about his fears. Yes, his his ghost, his unheimlich. Unheimlich. Are there German students here? Some of you are German. Can you correct please my pronunciation of unheimlich? Unheimlich. The perturbing moments in the Freud's theory. So, using photography as a tool. Or, I show you something completely different. Are there Turkish students here? From Turkey, Istanbul, Ankara. Okay, so you'll find a work about Istanbul and Ankara because I collaborate with Emre Arolata, that is one of the most important Turkish architects. Very, very cool. But just to give you an idea that you can work in your personal way in a completely different location, I realized a project about the Rebibbia jail here in Rome, the female section of the jail. That is the bigger female jail in Europe. I worked with prisoners inside, taking photos of their taking photos of prison and sharing with them their everyday life without taking photos of them, but letting the places telling for them their stories. Because a jail is a place where you are obliged to spend the rest of the time, the rest of the days, and probably the rest of your life. So the walls, the place can tell you something more than a simple elements of architecture. They contains the story of all the people that just has passed them by. And I would like to transmit as a woman how for a woman, what for a woman is to live inside a jail every day of your life, even if you have a child, even if you're a mom, even if you have your partner, your husband outside the jail. Because normally the common imagery is connected to the idea of the people in prisons with tattoos, portraits of male, of rude people inside. But there's also a completely different world. And these are part of the report that I took because I spent there 6 months. This is the children part, the kindergarten inside the jail, where the mom, the prisoners, can have with them children until they are 3 years old. I show you this work because just to give you the demonstration that you can choose your own topic and that architecture can be also connected with something, with a matter behind, with an idea behind. It's not just to take a photo of an architecture piece. You can tell a lot of things with architecture. You can tell the memory of a place. You can tell the changes that a place has undergone. You can take the emotions and transmit the emotions of the place outside. You can form an archive of all the places that you can visit, documenting the changes that the history, that the landscape, that the urbanization or the gentrification of a place can witness. And bear all this in your photos, in your projects. Is it clear till now? It's not just only a question of techniques. Techniques is important. It's important because it's a tool in your hands to make you able to deliver the right message, the exact message that you want to transmit. Or at the same time, because everything has a side effect, you can use your personal approach to leave something in between, not to tell straightforward something, like a real speech. One before I told you that you can decide to speak in first or third person. It's an important, it's a momentous passage. Think of a book that you like. If a book is written in first person, it's not exactly the same narration, the same development in a narrative way, speakingly, if you talk about yourself. And it's the same for your work. But some of the most important basics of techniques must be learned.
The connection with the...
Gli studenti online? Dove sta? Ce la siamo persa? No? Vabbè, tanto questa la chiudiamo, aspetta.
Forse devi solo tornare indietro.
Ecco. Okay. I would like to first. What do you like to what I suppose that every one of you takes photos, right? Come on, you can ask. You can ask and answer. There's no problem. Don't be shy. Don't be frightened. We all are here to learn together. Okay. So it's better that if it's not clear, something's not clear, you can ask and interrupt me before moving forward. No problem, no matter.
I think that something must be stressed is that we already said that last time in the first lesson. If you have a camera, you bring it during the course. If you don't, you bring your phone, your iPhone or whatever, okay? It's better, of course, a camera, but...
Yeah, but I mean, bear in mind one thing. A better equipment won't make you a better photographer. A better camera, a better device won't do anything if you don't have anything in your mind and in your heart. Okay? So, also mobile could be right. Do you know Steven Soderbergh, the director? Okay, Steven Soderbergh has realized different movies with an iPhone. And it's not a problem of resolution. It's a matter of ideas. It's a matter of culture. And you bring all this in a photo. All the books that you have read, the music that you like, your personal taste, your love, your passion, the partners that you have kissed, all the emotions. Okay. But there are also some techniques, not so crucial. You are not going to make a surgery with an open heart in front of you, so don't be frightened. And especially in the digital area, if something doesn't work in the best way, you can erase it immediately. So no panic, but be audacious. Don't be scared. The most thing that we are going to learn together is that not only exist different models and brands of camera, Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji, and so on, but also different camera systems. First of all, we have the digital reflex camera, also sometimes abbreviated by DSLR, digital single lens reflex camera. Any of you can have an idea that why we talk about single lens reflex? Single lens reflex. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. Right. This is a part of what we are going to speak, but it's something subtler. Why single lens? If I talk to you about a Rolleiflex, any of you knows a Rolleiflex? A Rolleiflex camera. Vivian Maier photographer. Do you know by the history about the babysitter that used to take photos of the children who she took care of? Nothing. Another important thing, learn from the masters. Take inspiration from the masters. Scroll on Google's. Open the pages of the book. Everything is important to take inspiration. And to take inspiration to steal from the masters and to learn how they work, their project works is very important. We talk about digital.
I know.
Okay. we talk about single lens camera because in the past, maybe probably you have seen it. These were the old vintage cameras that you can see that they had twin lenses. Twin lenses. Whereas in this time, we talk about single lens. It's clear now why, because in the past, you had this camera here with twin lenses, always reflex, but with two lenses. Now we are talking about single lens. If something's not clear now, don't worry. I'm going to upload all the PDF of the lessons on Google Classroom. So you can download them later and see them slowly but surely at home, okay? In any case, feel free to interrupt. So, any cameras, any sort of camera imitates our eyes. And like in the eye's retina, we have only one point of focus. It's the same in the camera. We have every sort of camera has only one point of focus. This is the first thing that you must remember, like in our brain. But in our brain, we have the optical nerve that put upside the images that is fed in our brain. The camera that has not the brain has a mirror to put upside down the images that is formed from your subject. From the lens and the iris of the aperture, the light comes through. And this is the basic system of a camera. Then you will have mirrorless camera that you can see that has not the pump here, the little bunch here. You can see that there's a little bump because this contains the reflex mirror here and a sort of prism that serves to project the lights to cover your sensor. Basically speaking, it's the same if we're talking about a digital or an old film camera. The construction is the same, but here we have a digital sensor. In an old film camera, here you are going to crank the film. Mirrorless has no bump here, basically because they have no mirror. And so you constantly see your subject or what you are going to see in real time on the LED or on your viewfinder, and the screen that is in front of you or in the viewfinder. Then we have the larger sort of cameras, generally 6x6, that the Hasselblad is the most iconic. Here you can read the basic characteristics, larger image capture and excellent color accuracy, because simply the sensor is bigger, so more info that you are able to capture. Some of you has never seen Blow Up, the movie by Michelangelo Antonioni. That movie was inspired by the real story of David Bailey, that was a fashion English photographer. And if you have seen the movie, you can remember that he was nearly always taking photos in this way, with the head looking below, because that sort of cameras has the viewfinder frontal. So,
did you see the movie? Do you know the movie? Yes or no? No, I think we can maybe show a little bit.
Yeah, why not? It's a good idea. So,
We see the image of the photographer.
um,
It's a very important movie. I said the other time to some of you that we were going to uh, introduce you also fragments of important movies because theater, movies, and photo are in many cases connected in some way. Okay. This is digital finger records and oh, this is yeah the blood. Now, in the movie you can see that, but in that moment, the protagonist was taking his report with a blood. I'm going to upload to you also a paper, a document with many different resources, useful movies, useful website, useful books. You aren't obliged to see them all. But apart from the fact that you can easily find them on YouTube, but it's something that you should see or you should read for your personal culture, apart from photography, apart from the university, just to be curious and of discovering something new. Coming back to our lesson, this is a very expensive and iconic camera, but you can have a bigger than that camera. There are large format view camera. Some of you can read what is written in the captions. You, I don't know your name, so sorry to the girls with the glasses. Now, 3 rows up behind you. Yes, you. Can you read for me, please? Our 2 rows. Yeah, from the start. Okay. What have you understood? Yeah. So, exactly, because this camera system can be used with many different sizes that are charged after at the end of the lens and are have folded and tilted lenses. Very, very particular, but maybe you have seen them with a photographer covered with a blanket, with a big blanket like in the past. Then you have the drone. Can you read for me, please, the girl in white? Any of you has a drone? Okay. Would you like to use it? Oh, of course, you have also some action camera. Do you know a type of action camera? Tell me. Yes. Another model of sporty camera? For example? Yeah, GoPro. That was waiting for the GoPro, the most famous
action and sports camera. Any of you has a GoPro? If you want, you can bring your GoPro in the next lessons. Then, but probably we are going to see in the next lessons, different sort of sensors. Generally speaking, you have two types of sensors. Generally speaking, full frame sensors and cropped sensors. Next, don't worry about that for the moment, because it's something that we'll talk about when we'll see the triangle of the exposure. But for the moment, it's enough if you bear in mind that not all the cameras have the same sensor. And of course, your mobile has not the same sensor of my professional camera. A mirrorless has not the same sensor of a point and shoot camera. But the resolution is not connected, necessarily speaking, with the resolving power and with the sharpness and the quality of your equipment. Then you have the lenses that are very important. Sometimes are most important lenses than the body. First of all, because, on your opinion, why? Any of you has an opinion of why a good lens can be more useful than a body, than a very modern or contemporary body of camera? Any idea why? And you're right, because you have already spoken about something, zoom, that is the opposite of, you have spoken about the zoom, so tell me about the zoom. No, okay, don't worry. Okay, but your colleague has told about something very important, because one of the most important differences about the zoom and a prime lens. A prime lens is the contrary of a zoom, but we'll see later what exactly means. But right. Apart from that, any other idea of why a good lens can be useful for your work more than a good body? Right, you're both right. But also, it's more practical. It's more practical, the point. Another point, another right point, but also because a body can be old tomorrow. If the Canon release a new model, or Nikon release a new model with a different resolution, with a different processor, with a different tolerance of high sensitivity, my personal body is old tomorrow. And so I'm going to replace, sooner or later, I'm going to replace it, right? With a most contemporary body, with a most contemporary instrument, similar to your mobiles. After a while, you are going to replace your old mobiles with a new mobiles. But you can keep your lenses. And if you spend money and time to learn how your lenses work, you can use also your good lenses in a completely different bodies, also of different brands, just with adapters. So you can, for example, mount an old Nikon lens or on a body of Sony or Fuji, with a simple adapter. So it's better to invest in good lenses rather than on a basic body. This is my first tip if you're going to spend and invest your money in a photography good equipment. Then we have some accessories: lens hood, lens adapter, cable release. Why it could be useful to have a cable release or a remote shutter control? Sometimes it's called also in this way. Yes, exactly. But not only when you are going to use a tripod. You are perfectly right. Very good answer. But you could also use your cable release even if you're not going to use a tripod. And in the next lessons, we are discover why. We are going to discover why. Then we have the flash. If some of you has a camera, probably your camera have a in-camera flash that pop-ups when the location is too dark or when you're going to take a photo in a very sober conditions. Well, forget it, because the flash is a very useful instrument, but very, very difficult to use in a good way. And the best flashes are not the in-camera flashes, but the flash that you use isolated from the camera, or the best of the best, the big studio flashes with diffuser and soft diffuser mounted in front. Some ideas, probably now you have your head filled with notions, concepts, ideas. Don't worry about them. Step by step, everything will become clearer, and everything, the blur will be fading. Okay. This is an ideal diffuser that you can also mount on your personal small flash, because they have different sizes. And last but not least, many different filters that you can use to, like in Instagram, on your accounts or in your software, to give different effects of your work on your photos. And for the moment, that's all, technically speaking, about the best photo equipment. Any questions so far? No.
They are panicking.
No panic. Just to release a bit, I would like to show you one photographer that has been very important for me to make me discover that architecture photography is not only a flat, boring, extremely extremely technician way to take pictures, but could be resonate with many different things and also with history. That is Gabriele Basilico. Do you know something about Gabriele Basilico? Any? Okay. For example, this is the folded equipment that I was speaking to you before. Generally, the photographer is covered with a blanket to take the image. So it's something that isolates you from the rest of the world in the exactly moment that you are going to take a picture. This is the first project of Gabriele Basilico, and it's a report about Milano, ritratti di fabbrica, that could be translated on portraits of factories. And it's already something that could sound strange because you are generally used to connect the idea of a portrait to a person. In this case, the portrait is connected to a place. But it's the same approach in architecture. Whether you're going to take a good photos, sometimes you have to discover the best size of a piece of architecture in the same way that you are going to discover the best size and the best points of view of a person, like a real portrait. But for what Basilico is most known, is most well known, is his work about Beirut. And he took a report of Beirut after the first civil war of Beirut that ended in 1990, and he was called there by an international team of French photographers primarily, and he took the photos of the devastation of the ruins of the city, but with a spirit of reconstruction, with a spirit of freedom, not only talking about the ruins, not talking about just the war, just the devastation, but also with a breath of new life, giving a hope, try to address his viewers with something completely different respect of the basic destruction. Just to tell you that photography can also speak about contemporary issues, and it's in your hands how do you want to exploit the photography as a tool. And it's a very important tool, especially nowadays. And a completely different photographer, William Klein, that I'll show you better in the next lessons. But William Klein is important because he learned all the rules and deliberately decided to break all the rules. Because it can be a choice. I mean, you're not obliged to follow the techniques step by step. You can also decide to emphasize your subject in a rude, aggressive way, with a lot of noise, with a tilted lines, distortion, and completely disturbing and provocative proportions. In a completely different mood of storytelling. And that was his approach, even if he started with photo fashion for Vogue. After a while, he got bored of this work and decided to take pictures in a completely different way. Mosquito. Oh, fuck. Lo spelling com'è? Niente. Ah, ecco. Ecco. Completely different photographer, completely different mindset. Astonishing, striking. This work of a photographer, a Japanese photographer, died 2 weeks ago, is the most important work inspired by Mishima poetry. So, because photography can be art, and art can be connected to another way of expression, and another way of expression can be connected to another. So music, novels, history, poetry can are melted together to tell your story. You can bring all this in your storytelling. In our case, it's always keep in mind relatively to theater and subject and performance issue. But take a look at these pictures. How do you feel about it? What did transmit you? The red girl, the girl with the red hair. Yeah, you. No. Ma sono proprio protette dal diritto d'autore, non me le apre. It's not it's impossible for the moment to take give you another in a bigger way. You can see this. Okay, tell me, what does it transmit you? You can also tell me that it transmits me nothing. Could be. He talked to you about, there's nothing particularly that strikes you. Oh, I don't know, the rose, the erotism, the black and white, the contrast. For example, this is a too contrasted image. Technically speaking, this is not a right photo. But he decided to take the pictures in this way, because all the book with this sort of about the work of Mishima that inspired the photographer, and the photographer and the poetry collaborated together. And there's some sort of tender erotism that is subtle in all the work. But generally, this sort of contrast is too much, because it's too dark, too white, with not grayscale in between. So technically speaking, it's wrong. But one photo can be wrong, 2 photos can be wrong. At the third or fourth picture that you take in the same way could be a project, can develop a different approach, can be an attitude, can justify your personal choice. So, this is not to say that all the techniques that we're going to learn will be not important. They are important, but then a step forward is on you. How you're going to use them. Because we have just told that some procedures at least, are always the same with any sort of devices that you may have. But the message is different. And how you want to exploit the techniques to deliver your own message. Okay? That's why I've showed you different photographers that struck me, but probably to you, on your taste, on your personal culture, due to the gap of ages, don't tell and don't address you in the same way. So I'm always curious to discover new photographers. Many of you are already photographers or will be photographers, but maybe you have some photographers that you like. So for the next lessons, please bring your own devices, mobiles, compact camera, GoPro, and so on, and think of some authors that you like, that you feel close to you. Maybe even if they are not famous, even if they are some friends of yours, but something that with whom you share the same view, the same point of view, or something that you feel very close to you, or simple, someone that you admire and that you look up. So think about it and tell me the next lessons, okay? I'm going to upload all the PDF, included the resources that I've prepared to you. You can see a lot of movies. L'ho visto, infatti chiudo qua. Lot of movies. You've seen some of them. You can easily find them on YouTube. Some web resources, basic bibliography if you want to make an investment on culture. Okay. Any question? Everything is clear, so now it's right? Okay, a question?
Sorry, you want to know more about the project? Yeah, that's what we are going to do. Okay, sure. And here we have two students. There were supposed to be three, but Bolanda had an accident today, in the morning. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. So he couldn't come. It's a pity. Hope it's gonna be well. Hope so. Anyhow, we have two or three of them, and they're going to introduce you their photo project of last year. Okay, so you're going to see something precisely, and then we will. Professor Pompei and I will introduce the other projects that can be good examples, good references, okay? Call it as you want. So we start with them, and I really appreciate they decided to come, and I think it's important for you to
We also have the someone want to see more.
Yeah.
Our colleague is to
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very proud of your work.
Yes. Thanks.
Come at my place.
We have to talk here because they are the online students, you know.
others also.
Yes, like last year. The same.
Dove possiamo inserire questa qua forse?
Ah no, ma non importa, io ricordo. Dovrebbe già essere in condivisione, credo. Perché prima stavamo.
Controllare, se no...
Stiamo condividendo? E volevo far vedere scrittura, come si faceva? Hi everyone.
Okay, so Samara, please.
I'm Sarah. Thanks to the teacher to invite us to show our project of the last year. It was a very interesting project about photo shooting during performance. So what I chose, it was to make a kind of report, like a diary of a band that is Tigri da Soggiorno, that in English is Living Room Tiger, is a band, Italian band. They are from Rome, and the goal of my project was to make a kind of diary about the band rehearsal, that showed them how the band is work and the taste of the band. So I hope that you enjoy. And so that was like the beginning where I described the band. And there are some photos about the band. The major challenge was to manage the light, because I work in a manual. And after I edit the photo with the Lightroom, because the light was outside, it was so stunning, and inside the light of the studio was very, very dark blue. It was something difficult to manage. And also the fact that they move all the time, so it was also another kind of difficulties that I have to control. And yeah, I think it's almost done. These are other photos. But it's on you if you want to edit, if you want to the important, I think, is to say something. So I think you can also achieve your goal and say something in your project. So enjoy your work. That's all. Thanks.
Any of you has seen that statement on the last paper of the work? Can you show just for a moment the last page? The last page. Can you read the statement? Yes.
Whole work and no play makes Jell a dull boy. It's a slang no, I don't want to say nothing. I'm so sorry. I don't want to anticipate.
Who knows what this phrase comes from? You can explain why. I mean, I'm devoted. I personally devoted to Stanley Kubrick. But I'm a sort of, it's something more than a passion. It's something very deep connected, for many different reasons. But I'm strongly devoted to the Stanley Kubrick work. That started as a photographer, because he was a photographer for Look, for a magazine, before becoming the genius of movie. So please, every one of you is obliged in this case to know at least one movie of Stanley Kubrick. Okay, and we'll see, apart from any joke, we'll later see and we'll learn why, because he was a genius not only of direction, but also photography, and can be very, very, very important for your job, for your work. And he was very curious, very audacious, and a genius, apart from that. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to underline to you the thing that we hear a lot also about captions. We will explain it later, but what we mean by captions is not just the techniques, the info, the second, the info, but also to give, as she gave, like a poetic interpretation. Okay, some captions, I mean, the written language could be also, it's very important to us, okay? But just to, it was a very good case. Okay, here we have a completely different project. We decided to show you very different approaches.
Yeah.
We have different approaches. Here we have something completely different. And the third one, we will show it. I mean, without him.
Hi, I am Alexandra. Yes, I have the same theme of Sarah, but I choose to show another part of performance. And some of my friends played at one of the most important medieval events in Marche, that is a region of Italy. And this is the Palio. And with this project, I try to show how a dress is made by the passion of sailor. And this is the description of the project. And I try to show the artisanal process of sailoring, and I choose to shot with color because I like color, and I also try to show the contrast between colors. Sometimes it's very difficult to work with colors, also for the light, and I work with my manual. And I edited very little, but because I use I had a different type of light, and for only one peak that I show later, I use the automatic because the lights there were no lights. So I try to tell the process. So I start to talk with the people that work with costumes, and I focus on the table, on the material, and the dresses. So I show all the process, and this is the photo where I use the automatic on the light because I have this point of light that I can manage the manual. And this is the shot. And at the end of this project, I would like to show the model, but it's not my first character in this book. And this is the project.
Thank you. Ma non abbiamo la presentazione di Marco. Noi non abbiamo la presentazione di Marco, abbiamo solo il cartaceo. Ah, ok.
Different activities mean different approaches. That's why we are going to show you some of the work of the last year.
Sì.
You want to create, okay? You choose.
But generally speaking, a good statement, a consistent statement should respond to the 5 basic W of photojournalism. You know,
Sì.
that is the 5 W of photojournalism, with which you're going to write your story.
No, donazione.
You know the 5 right?
Paginazione di bianco e nero, marmoggio
Non è
nero.
vero.
Yes, what, why, who, where, when. The 5 basic W.
Grazie. Volete parlare? Vabbè, casomai se volete aggiungere qualcosa.
You're going to respond of these 5 basic
Dunque, chiudiamo questo. Aspetta, lo chiudo proprio.
detailed captions.
Allora,
Detailed captions include, should include, place, for example.
dunque, devo riuscire a trovarlo.
For example, University of Rome La Sapienza, University La Sapienza, Rome, today is the 9th October 2024. Okay? And if you are very good, also the
Come hai fatto, scusa? mi fai
Control
vedere?
L.
Control L.
L, sì.
Vabbè.
È più comodo.
For example, shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. But it will be a lot of things. So, and essentially, location, city, date, so place, time, statement, and of course, if you want to increase
Say something,
your
oppure
statement or your
si parla in inglese.
Era quello
Noi
del
lo facciamo
teatro,
vedere.
vero? Era quello del teatro che lui ha lavorato dietro al teatro, se non sbaglio.
Con le marionette.
Sì, questo certo,
Sì.
però cioè, lo facciamo semplicemente vedere
Sì.
e basta. Adesso facciamo vedere.
Non saprei presentarlo, l'unica cosa che so è che lui non si poteva muovere da quella
Sì,
posizione.
quello certo, sì. Ah, è vero, ma perché tu non c'eri?
Sì,
Non c'eri quella volta?
sì, ero...
Al Vascello?
Ah no, il vascello no, però stavo all'esame, quindi...
Anyway, in any case, we will have some assessment and some lessons, not necessarily frontal lessons, that will be used to discuss together your choice and the options that you may have. So don't worry about it. How many photographs? Good question.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Since these questions are for everybody, also the online students, since our infos for everybody, I think it's better to tell it here. And afterwards, we're going to see this photo project, okay? Sorry.
Sorry for the online students. The statement, for a strong and consistent statement, you should respect the 5W rules of photojournalism. What, who, where, when, and why. These are the basics to write a piece or to write something. But in the real world also, I mean. Also if you're going to speak or to talk with a photo editor for a commercial or editorial purpose. That said, you're going to write the captions. Detailed captions must include at least the date, the place, and the location. For example, University La Sapienza, Rome, the date of today, 9th, October 9th, 2024. Right? And if you are able, and if you will be able, also to include the techniques of the photos. So for techniques, I mean shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. These three elements. Because these three elements are the three elements of the triangle of exposure. It's clear? Okay.
We will, of course, talk about all these things over the course, you know, it's not just today. All right? Okay, so here, as you see, we just, since the student couldn't come, unfortunately, for a car accident or a motor accident, I think. So we just see it together. These photos were taken in a theater during Unheimliche. Am I right? Yes. During a rehearsal in a theater in Rome, Teatro Vascello, we were there, and we were lucky to be invited to see a rehearsal, which is quite unusual, let's say. And so that's a result. Of course, he is not here to introduce his concept. So he is describing, the fact of being there, the theater, and looking at the rehearsal. But at the end, we don't see really something objective, let's say. It's his reinterpretation of the thing of being there. So you can do that. That's what we mean, okay? You can work in many different directions. He describes the light. Okay, so I'll show you it. No. Ma perché parla dei puppets? Sai che non me lo ricordo. Forse non era un vascello. No. So mainly, yes, it's a actually he worked in a theater, in a show, in a performance. He was allowed to take photos, but then he. I mean, as I said before, it's not just something objective. It's reinterpreted. Okay, for instance, I think it's very important the importance of the stressing of the black, which is typical in a theater, of course. There's no light, no? That's a typical situation. So stressing on the black, I think it's very important in this project. Okay, so that's it. How are the photos?
Backstage and the end.
Yeah, backstage. Everybody likes backstage. It's a trend. It's really a trend in our contemporary mood.
Because we are always curious to see what is behind.
Yeah.
We are always curious to see the life behind something else.
And as you see, he also make there's also a list of material that were a reference for him, okay? Not just a book, as you see the book that you have to study as well. Okay, this one, but also website that were important to him and some slides of the lessons, okay? So I think it's a complete work in this sense. There's also a scientific side, because being scientific, being academic means you have to put references. Footnotes are typical of academy, okay? And since you are creating a project inside a university course, you have to recreate that same style, which means writing captions, as Professor Pompei explained to you, and also, if you wish, also bibliography, okay? Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Guys, we have asked to the students to show their works because we would like to show you some basic and practical examples of 3 completely different approaches. One that is more metaphorical and probably connected to the inner world, to the identity of the photographer, the absent student, developed in a very personal attitude. Another one, Tigri da Soggiorno, that resounds with urban, dirty, and catchy attitude of street photographer, for example. Last but not least, the third approach of Fili d'Arte that entangles with a sort of documentary which absorbed her roots, her culture, her city, her personal, cultural, and familiar background. So it's a new, just to give you some practical ideas, okay? Thank you so much. Or if you want, se volete siete libere. You can break the lines. You are free. But many thanks, because you, Professoressa Bertoloni and I were very proud of your work, and also of your colleagues and of the absent one. But many thanks to be here.
Devi prendere la
Sì.
penna?
Sì.
Se poi le posso scrivere per quanto riguarda la tesi, magari piace a unire una mezza idea, però non ce lo so, è più per... No.
And good luck for your project, guys.
Sì, grazie. E poi l'altra cosa, io c'è questo book fotografico, vorrei proporre con me. Io non so come si fa. Non so come si fa. No, quello è già preso.
Un quarto d'ora? 15 minutes, right?